Hey guys, Donald from St Paul's Kids here. Now, I've got here a watch. Now, this isn't just any sort of watch. This is a very special watch to me. It was given to me by my granddad. And the thing is, it doesn't go. So the person in our story is this kind of person I would need to take this watch to get it repaired. Because this person, her name was Corrie, and her dad had taught her the trade of watchmaking or watch fixing. Now, Corrie and her family, her dad and her sister, they lived in Denmark just before the outbreak of World War II. And then what happened? War broke out. The Nazis invaded and they made people fear them. And they made, if you were a Jew or if you didn't follow their rules, you would be sent off and arrested and persecuted. And they looked at this because Corrie's dad and his sister and her were Christians. They believed in God, and they didn't believe that what was happening out there was the right thing. And they knew they had to do what Jesus would do. So they would take in people who were being captured by them, and they hid them in their building. They even had the resistance build a special room so that the people could hide away and not be found. If the Germans or the Nazis came in and searched the house, they wanted to make sure they were protected. But of course it went on for a long time, the war, and eventually someone tricked them into letting them know that they had been helping these people. And so Corrie, his sister, and her dad were arrested. But they said that her dad should go if he just would sign this document and promise never, ever help these people again. He looked at the piece of paper and he looked at them and he said, my God lives in me. I can't possibly follow what this says because I know that's not what Jesus would want. Well, they were angry, so they arrested them. They threw them all into a concentration camp. And then it was a horrible place for them. They tried, but it was nasty. They would be mistreated. They'd have hardly any food. And they'd watch other people get even less than them. And Corrie and Betsy were in the same camp together. But Corrie got angry at God. She would look at it and how cruel the people were treating, the guards were treating everybody, including her and her sister. But her sister would never stop smiling at them. She'd always be polite and courteous. She'd even offer to pray for the guards, which would make Corrie so frustrated. And one day she said to her, Betsy, what are you doing? How can you be kind and show love to these people? They're horrible to you. They're mean. They just beat someone up the other day in front of us, and he keeps this one. He hits you and he hits me. Why do you have to be kind? She looked at Corrie and she said, sister, whenever I see them, I feel pity that they have so filled with hate that they don't know Jesus' love and acceptance. I feel sorry for them. So the best thing I can do is pray and know that God's with them and with me, never alone. She said, alone? Well, our God isn't here. Where do you see God? Where in this horrible place do you see God? Betsy said, He's everywhere. He never leaves us, Corrie. He is always with us. Because the God of peace is with us and we can choose to accept that. But if we believe in Him, we have to show people we're where we are, but we have to trust God. Because He's always with us. And those words stuck deep into Corrie's heart. And as it progressed, the guards seemed to get worse. And some of them are really, really horrible to her. And then they were separated. She never saw her sister again. She got really, really sick. They took her to the hospital, and at the end of the war, after she had managed to be released, she knew, but she found out her sister died of the sickness and not being able to get medicine because she was stuck in this horrible place called Ravensburg. But Betsy's faith, Betsy's love of Jesus stayed with Corrie. And she prayed, and she said, why, God, have you taken away my whole family? Her father died. Her brothers, they were killed. And she felt God's love. That even in the most horrible of times, she remembered her dad's words that we have to show God's love to everybody. As time went on, she became quite well known as an amazing preacher who would share God's love, and she shared her story with so many people. And many people came to faith. They came to know Jesus because of her words. And one day she was invited to go to Munich in Germany. She went and she preached a beautiful message about forgiveness and God's grace and how we have to step into that. And forgiveness is a choice that we need to take. And at the end of the service, it was the tradition in this church, they'd come out and people would walk past and I'd talk to the person who'd preached and they'd say, oh, very good. And then Corrie's face went white as a sheet. She looked, and towards her, coming towards her, was one of the guards from Ravensburg. Not just one of them, he was known as the worst guard, the meanest, the cruelest of them all. Anger welled up in her. She wanted to stand up and go, this is the man who was horrible to me and my sister and so many others. And he walked up to her and stuck out his hand. And he said, Fräulein, that was an amazing message. Isn't it so good that we can live in forgiveness? And you mentioned you at Ravensburg. I was a guard there. And I don't know if you remember me or if I know you, but I want to say how great it is that you talked about forgiveness. Corrie looked at him and his outstretched hand, standing there, smiling at her. She didn't know how long. It was probably only seconds, but it felt like hours that she just stared at him and his hand in space, waiting for her to take it and to show that she believed the words that she was speaking. And the words of her sister came to her mind. If we want peace, we have to choose forgiveness. So there before Corrie was a person who showed such hatred to her, asking for forgiveness. She looked at his hand and she took all the energy in her stomach to choose to do what was right. She grabbed his hand and shook it. Welcome, brother. Yes, absolutely, I forgive you. It was hard to say those words, but they did. Corrie had an amazing ministry. She preached love and grace to so many people that heard Jesus' words. But she knew she had to choose to forgive, even when bad things happened to her. Even in the small things we have to forgive. Because if you hold burden, she said, the only person it hurts is you. So, Corrie acted out what she had taught, what she had learned, and she showed it. She knew she had to choose to do the things that she had learned. She had to choose to let Jesus guide her way. And that's our story today, guys. I'll see you later.